You guys are gonna give me shit the whole time?
Yeah, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Cool.
Welcome back to Marathon. After a very long hiatus, I will not be predicting when the next episode is again.
What was our last prediction? 30 years ago?
No, I think we said like we're gonna do monthly after The Matrix, but
Nice. That worked out. When was that? When
like
was
February.
Probably February.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's not as bad as it
Was that 2 months? 3?
4.
4?
Yeah,
The
it's like
numbers
4
keep
months.
going up.
Yeah. Numbers keep rising.
Yeah.
Numbers
like
keep
the heat.
rising.
Very true. Well, I'm excited to be back at it though, guys.
Yeah.
It's good to see you again. I'm excited to watch a whole bunch of movies and complain about them with you guys. Been too long. Jesus God.
Dude, let's chill out. You said I get 5 minutes to adjust this.
The 5 minutes had been running.
I'm always running.
All right. Well, cool. Henry, could you please introduce what we are watching today? Because you were the one that made the journey to pick up these DVDs.
Oh, indeed. I was the
Tell us about the
mad
journey, too.
bastard
Yeah.
who suggested this idea. So for this marathon, we are watching the Mummy movies, but not what you may believe. We are not watching the Brendan Fraser franchise in its entirety, nor will we be watching any of the Scorpion Kings.
Big bummer.
Very unfortunate.
Big bummer.
But we are watching every iteration of The Mummy that has existed, because The Mummy started with the original Universal monsters in the 30s.
Yeah.
First one, 1932. A couple decades later, British horror studio Hammer makes its own version of The Mummy. That's 1959. Then we get the Brendan Fraser 1999.
The classic.
I'm talking absolute masterpiece.
Stone cold killer.
Honestly, one of my favorite movies growing up. I really love them.
Absolutely.
Hands down. And it
So
holds
cool.
up.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in a very long time.
Get ready to
Okay.
just fucking break.
I just remember like all the weird CGI and stuff that was like wild when that first came out.
It was really good.
No,
when it
all
came
of it's
out.
incredible.
Yeah,
A lot of it holds
I'm excited
up
for that
really
one.
well. And then finally, the Tom Cruise action vehicle, The Mummy, which was supposed to spearhead
DCDU.
exactly an Avengers-style Dark Universe mashup. Which, when we get there, I'm going to tell you guys their plans for all the people they were going to cast, which have now been completely scrapped because this Mummy movie failed miserably.
I think I said the acronym wrong. Would it be the DUCU, the Dark Universe Cinematic Universe?
DCU.
Dark Cinematic Universe.
The DDoC.
This is why they didn't make any more movies.
They couldn't get past this point themselves. Like, what do we call it?
What do we do?
Bury it.
Have you guys seen these before? I've only seen the Brendan Fraser one.
I've only seen the Brendan Fraser one.
I've seen the Brendan Fraser one and the Hammer one from the 50s.
Okay. So none of us have seen like the original
I
one.
have not seen the original.
I'm very excited to see, honestly, all of them.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to see the Tom Cruise one for a while.
Yeah, just
I think-
because of how terrible
Yeah.
everyone says it is.
I think I pulled it up on some, fake stream online, and it just crashed within 5 minutes, and I got real frustrated, shut my laptop, and just stared at the wall for the rest of the night.
Do you like that they made the mummy hot in that one?
I don't even know how the mummy
Oh,
looks.
sure.
The mummy is
It's
what
a
do you
woman
mean?
for the first time.
I don't like that, actually. I'm very upset.
I mean, I take it back. The mummy was hot in the other movies too.
This is
But-
true. Arnold Vosloo, stone cold,
Yeah.
sex machine.
Yeah. Even when he's like, stage 4 out of 5, and he's got the little
Yeah.
roach in his
Oh.
cheek, still looking good.
Still got it.
Still got
Roach in
it.
the cheek. I'm just now remembering.
You're
it's
like,
so gross.
it's enough. You're like, you're good enough. It's all right. We don't, it's cool.
You said the first one came out in the 30s, right?
1932.
That's so fuck. Is that the oldest movie we've watched on the show? For sure, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Frankenstein came out and was like the biggest movie in the world.
When was that?
30, maybe 31.
Okay, so before Mummy.
Yeah.
I just don't know the order of
Oh,
things.
yeah.
Okay.
And and maybe besides Mickey Mouse, Frankenstein is like the first like film icon ever.
Sure.
It does like Gonzo. There had been some blockbusters like Birth of a Nation, but we don't talk about that
This is
one.
not a good blockbuster.
Not a good blockbuster. Frankenstein is like just Gonzo at the box office. So they're like, okay, let's get in there. Then they make Dracula with Bela Lugosi,
Okay.
which is also iconic. And then they're like, let's keep it going. They did the Wolfman somewhere down the line, but they also did the Mummy.
Did they also do Invisible Man? I just remember
Yes.
seeing that like
Yes.
effect of like unwrapping the head and that being like a really impressive visual effect from way, way back in the day. But
Oh yeah, no, Invisible Man was also one of the ones. they
okay,
did.
cool. Are those a cinematic universe? Was that the first?
Cinematic universe.
No, they're never. Well, Okay, so they don't connect necessarily, but they did do crossover films that would just be standalone. So there is stuff like Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
That's
stuff
awesome.
like that. They did a lot of those.
That sounds really cool, actually.
Yeah.
I like that. Kind of like Godzilla, King Kong situation.
Exactly. Alien versus Predator. That's where that sort of thing started.
Man, movies were so much cooler when they didn't have to like all have all the characters in them.
All of them?
Yeah.
Every single one has to last
Yeah.
for 15 years.
I need my Terminator versus Predator comic, you know?
Terminator versus Predator.
There is a comic that is Alien versus Predator versus Terminator versus RoboCop.
Holy shit.
Why did they put RoboCop in there?
Well, there's already a Terminator versus RoboCop because they're both robotic. Android.
Wait, who wins
humanoid.
that fight? I guess RoboCop?
Terminator, probably.
I mean, yeah, I think
Terminator's a robot.
Terminator's definitely stronger, I think, than RoboCop.
So's
Are we
RoboCop.
talking about the T800 or the T1000?
It would have been the T800.
It's not that strong.
He's got a
He's like
got
as
a
strong as
minigun.
Arnold is in real life.
Bro, he's got a minigun, though. Oh, gosh.
Hard to say. They're both technically just pure robots. So.
All guys.
All guys. Bunch of guys.
Bunch of bots.
Yeah.
Walking around. Drinking beer out of tiny glasses.
Smashing stuff.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the first one.
Yeah. All I can say is it stars Boris Karloff, who was also Frankenstein and was like a major horror actor at the time. So people do say that this one, compared to like Bela Lugosi, who played Dracula, he did that and was famous, and then immediately his career went down. But Boris Karloff like stayed.
I feel like I've heard that name.
Film icon, but of like such a bygone era.
A legend.
An absolute legend. Well, let's take a look.
Let's take a little peek at the first Dracula.
Where it all begins.
Death, eternal punishment for anyone who opens this casket.
The mummy. Is it dead or alive? Human or inhuman? You'll know. You'll see. You'll feel the awful, creeping, crawling terror that stands your hair on end and brings a scream to your lips. There's nothing on earth like the mummy.
You will not remember what I show you now, and yet I shall awaken memories of love and crime and death.
Now I know his horrible plan. He is going to kill her and make her a living mummy like himself.
Go ahead.
We're live, Lupo. The fuck?
Go for it, Lupo. It's all right.
Go ahead.
Go for it, yeah.
Just
Do it.
Oh my god. I don't know why I live in this house.
Yeah, I know.
Lupo, you done? Are you proud of yourself? Okay, here we go.
This might be my favorite
How
photo.
fine? How fine do we need it?
It's gonna go through the. It's gonna go through the filter,
true.
man.
It's gotta,
How fine? Are you? You definitely aren't happy about that.
He only drinks Keef coffee grounds.
Yeah, I drink straight Keef. Oh my god. Anyways, I'd like to open this with. I regret to inform I am too occupied to accept invitations.
That looks really good. That looks like a fine coffee powder.
Cameo.
Say hi, Lupo.
Hey, hello. Hi.
You'll remember Lupo from being loud on other podcasts.
Yeah, ruining other podcasts.
I I need to cook every time you guys are talking.
It's. I mean, we're here all day in your house, so you can do whatever you want, Lupo. I'm not complaining.
True. That is true.
No, don't
You
do it.
tell him that.
Yeah, you should.
feel bad
I'm
about
not going to make you feel
Hold on,
bad. These
hold
guys
on.
live here, so.
I've been taking a ton of abuse over that. And yeah, that's right. I'm just existing in my fucking house.
All right,
This is the kitchen, by the way, if anybody isn't aware. Right next to the sink. Where
Yeah.
I fucking
It's
only
it's
drink
not
the
it's
water.
not your birthday anymore. That was yesterday, buddy. Special day's over.
Oh, well, should we talk about the Mummy movie?
Yes.
Let's get in there.
You know, I will say I do not typically like older films, and they put me to sleep usually.
Mm-hmm.
But this one was overall excellent.
Pretty solid.
I agree.
Pretty solid.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of times on these older movies, they get into like weird blah, 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 blah. And it
Yeah,
didn't do that as
too much dialogue.
That's
not
what I
enough
mean.
happening,
Yeah.
and it's extremely heavy dialogue too.
Yeah. Verbose.
Verbose.
Yes.
I mean, we had to
for it.
start, like, put on subtitles like 5 seconds in the movie because they were just riffing on.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly my fault. I can't understand like old timey people talking.
Oh, no. For
I just
sure.
can't,
The
like,
transatlantic
yeah.
accent is totally fabricated. I sort of struggled to follow the plot at various points of this movie, but the general frame, it starts with these archaeologists who have uncovered the burial
Yeah.
of this mummy, and they immediately realize
It's set in the 30s.
Set in the
Yeah.
30s, thereabouts. Filmed in the 30s, set in the 30s, all authentic, grounded.
Andrew said the set design looks great, and I said it's in the 30s.
We came to the conclusion that it probably just looks like that.
And so they immediately realize this mummy still has internal organs, and there's like which like entire point of a mummy is that you remove
Yeah.
stuff that's gonna rot so that the body is embalmed and will last a while.
Right.
And there's also all these like carved spells in the inside of his coffin. So they immediately deem that this guy was buried alive and was meant to suffer for all eternity.
A heretic or something.
Something bad. And then someone in the room is like, they uncover this chest and they're like, don't open this, whatever you do.
Yeah.
Two of these guys walk out to argue about, the British Empire needs to see this amazing find. And this guy sticks around in the room, opens the chest, and the mummy, played by our boy Boris Karloff, comes back to life. One of the better scenes of the movie, I would say, as far horror-wise.
I would say
Oh,
so.
his eyes opening?
His eyes
when he was full
slowly
caked in
open.
makeup?
Was
Yeah,
this supposed? Is this like a horror film? Because this is not scary.
Horror of the 30s, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. That was
Yeah.
terrifying.
All right.
And yeah, the guy looks at him and has this awkward scream and then just starts hysterically laughing. And you don't even see the mummy like walk away. You just sort of see these like what do you call them? Bandages. Handprints and bandages as he like disappears. And so cut to 10 years later, which I realized at the end of the movie when someone said it out loud.
Oh, you're right, because they were out there in the 20s.
Yeah.
And then it skips to 1932.
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that.
I didn't either.
There's a different archaeological thing happening.
The mummy comes back to life because the guy, like the helper guy, messes up and reads the scroll when he's not supposed to.
He reads the ancient scroll, which will be an important plot device.
Yeah.
later.
And then I guess that's where I missed the 10-year time gap that you're talking about.
Same. I didn't realize it until they verbally said it. They said 10 years ago we lost this mummy on this expedition, and I was like, oh wow.
So is the rest of the movie? I guess I'm kind of confused. Like it's in Egypt still, but they're in a city. They're in Cairo.
Cairo.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And the British Museum is in Cairo.
Yeah.
Okay,
The British Museum in Cairo.
I see.
If you were just to say the British Museum, most people would assume London.
That makes sense.
But this is
I
it's
thought at
Cairo
first
French.
it was
Sure.
back in the UK at one point.
Right.
But I don't think we ever go to the UK.
No, we don't. It's all in Egypt. And I mean, part of the thing we brought up is like, is this still British occupied Egypt? Yes, it definitely
sure.
is.
100%.
It's got those vibes too. It's bad.
yeah.
Bad vibes.
Definitely.
What, the carrying the empty wicker basket up
just
the hill?
like the servants that they're very clearly not paying. You know. You know.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, this movie is very imperial. You
Yeah,
could
extremely.
say. Imhotep,
Yeah.
the mummy, is now passing himself off as a living person in clothes and stuff. He's not like rotting. He's not wrapped up anymore.
Yeah.
He's pretending to be a normal living dude, and he tells archaeologists, "Yo, dig up my girlfriend." And quite as many words.
Yeah.
And
Here's the greatest find of the century.
yeah, just waiting for you here. He has a very good.
He does.
We'll
I
get
didn't,
into
I didn't do
his
justice
aspect.
to his
He had
voice.
so many good lines.
We'll get into him in a second. I'll just speed through the rest of this. He gets his scroll that brought him back to life, and he's trying to bring his undead mummy girlfriend back to life. When then suddenly he realizes that there's this woman, modern day, 1932, 20 years old, flesh and blood, who is the reincarnation of his girlfriend. She has the wildest eyes of any woman I've ever seen.
She looks like Betty Boop.
She looks like a.
She is immediately, you could tell she's crazed without any lines.
Her opening shot, she is staring, unblinking at the skyline.
You can see the whites
And I'm talking
above and below
and
her
below.
pupils.
Yeah, and side to side.
A lot of people have said that about me, which I don't appreciate.
Especially in comparison to this woman.
Yeah,
For sure.
I hope I don't look like that all the time.
Never. Just staring, unblinking. The city's so wonderful.
Just looking into the middle distance.
Yeah. I mean, I did do that this morning on top of the
You
picnic
did,
table,
yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah,
It's like,
for
yeah.
sure. Did they like try to justify how he figured that out, or was that just like, and now the spirit of his long lost lover is here?
Well, while he's trying to bring his love back to life, it hypnotizes this living woman into bailing from the party that she's at
goes to
and
the
driving
museum.
to the British Museum where he is. She's like drawn.
Oh, so it just
And then
happens.
he
It's not like
talked
he's
about
trying to-
how he said, I was in the museum. And she goes, oh, I was too trying to get into the museum at night. So he put two and two together.
Yeah. So you might notice we're not really talking about any of the heroes in this movie, and that's because they are all completely forgettable.
They're also not heroes. They're
not
definitely the bad guys.
definitely the bad guys by modern standards. Yeah. So there's the old professor who dug up the old Imhotep, and then his young, strapping young son, who's supposed to be, you know, the male,
The love interest.
the love interest, the hero.
Yeah.
Is
Just the
this
most generic looking white dude ever.
generic, entitled piece of shit you have ever seen.
I can't even remember his name. Was it like Frank?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Our girl has been hypnotized. She walks to the British Museum, and they just watch her, kind of bemused, just like, wow, look at this chick. She's had a few too many. Let's follow her into the museum. And then she like passes out. So they bring her to a couch. When she comes to, he's just laying it heavy. I can't remember what he says, but she's like,
Something about like her face like reminds him.
Oh, yeah. He was like,
was
I
like,
uncovered Ox on the moon.
Yeah.
don't you know who I am? I'm the famous archaeologist. He also immediately says, you have Egyptian blood, don't you? And she's like, how do you know? He's like,
Where are you from originally?
While he's slowly moving towards her the whole time.
she's laying on a couch, and he is just creeping up.
cornering her on top of her.
It seems like there's an established relationship, but we know there's not.
Yeah.
We know they
No,
don't
they
know
met in
each
that
other.
room.
Yeah.
Right then and there.
And he's getting closer and closer to her, and she's like, I think I've already had, you know, enough excitement for one night without this stranger trying to make love to me. That is a straight up quote, by the
She
way.
straight up said, I know what's going down, and I'm not about it.
Yeah. But then they make up for a moment.
And his dad
His
and his
dad-
friend watch them make out.
Walk in, watch them for a moment. This also reminds me, there are so many bad editing cuts in this movie of like
Oh my
just
gosh.
continuity
Yes.
not working, and that's one of the best ones. Is it shows these old men watching the young man and young woman make out, and then
And then
they
they go-
step forward and they're like, Frank, we need to talk to you, and then the camera pans and suddenly he is no longer on top of her, he is standing behind her,
the couch.
and it just gives me this image of him like springing into action when he hears this old man.
I wanted a reaction shot of him just like, oh, turning and looking.
yeah, panic looking.
No, then they
Thought
play
about
it
that.
off like nothing happened.
Yeah,
It's like,
right.
Frank, let's go over here. And Frank's like, okay, yes. Let her rest.
Right, and then after that she immediately goes to sleep.
Yeah, so she looks like crazed at all times. That was
Yeah.
the only moment where she looked calm, like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Like
After
just
she-
made out with this guy for the first time. She goes, whatever, I'm going to bed.
Going to
Oh, and
bed.
they've established that they're like, yo, so you're at the British Museum. She's like, what? I have no memory of this. So she's already had this like fugue state hallucination, like should be kind of panicking. And then some stranger makes out with her, and then she's like, all right, I'll go to bed on this stranger's couch.
Yeah.
And then a moment later,
Surrounded by random weird dudes.
random weird dudes. Moment later, the mummy comes in, and he wakes her up, and for like half a second, she's, you know, kind of panicked. Boris Karloff has this very intense, striking face, so it's
Yeah.
very understandable. But
I mean,
then she
no
is,
blinking.
no blink, yeah, strong gaze. And then a moment later, she is standing up and just unblinking back at him. Their faces are 5 inches apart now. She has totally forgotten about Frank, and you're honestly like kind of on Boris's
I'm
side.
on board.
I'm
I'm
board
on
with
board.
Boris. Like,
Yeah.
like this
More
guy-
than anybody
Bored
else.
with Boris.
Yeah, it's very.
There's not good selections in this movie, but I'm on board with Boris more than anyone
He
else.
has a heart. He's not just trying to slam out this poor,
Yeah.
woman having a rough
No, he
night.
wants her soul. Frank's
That's
just
right,
trying to
yeah.
slam.
Just trying to slam. So then the tent. So they go in. Everyone's like, "Honey, darling, you should be asleep." And she's like, "Don't tell me what to do." And they're like, "Come on now, like let Frank walk you
And
home."
then she goes,
I'm not a child.
okay,
All right, yeah, I'm not a. Yeah.
fine. Well, I'll do it.
Yeah, and then in front of Frank, who clearly is in love with her, immediately she goes,
I must see you again.
"I must see you again." And they look deeply into each other's eyes.
Her and the mummy.
Her and
yeah,
Imhotep,
they're
yeah.
hot for each other already. She is.
Basically, this guy gets cucked within 5 minutes of meeting this woman.
I don't
It
think
can't, it can't be cucked.
It can't be cucked because he has no
There's
claim.
no relationship before.
I mean, in his mind, he thinks it's a done deal.
This is true. In the audience's mind, too, of everyone who's like, oh, this is the hero. Everyone's supposed to be like, oh, no, the bad guy's got her. But it's really, in actuality, a woman made out with a guy and then stopped making out with him and went to talk to someone else at the
Yeah.
bar. And he is like creeping on it.
Frank
It's
is like
whoa.
the father of incel culture.
Yeah, precisely. Yo, we made out. That was a done thing. And then
Done
you're like,
deal. We're
looking
getting
at-
married.
Looking at this older guy.
I planned out my entire life with you.
I mean, he said that.
I want to get
right.
old with you.
So what's interesting is what happens next is the older imperialists, the
Yeah,
older
that's-
British
that's accurate.
professors, older British professors go up to Imhotep and are like,
We know you're the bat. We
They
know.
basi- yeah, we
we
know.
know you're the mummy.
yeah, they straight up are like, we know you're the
Yeah,
mummy.
that didn't make, I mean,
And
I was in the
he's-
bathroom for that.
And he is also like
You got me.
you
I'm
know-
the mummy.
It's like, you know it, but he's like, you know that you can't kill me.
Yeah,
you know
and they're
that I
like,
can
we
fuck
know
you
you're
up."
powerful.
So he like needs to get this scroll from them in order to do some shit that we'll get into later.
Yeah.
And they know that they can't hurt him. So it's a totally different tension as far as like being like two enemies, nemesis looking
Yeah.
at each other and being like, yo, we're gonna have to fuck each other up. And then they walk out of the room.
They got to Horcrux him. They got to burn.
Yeah,
They got to burn
gotta
his
burn him.
item.
Also, I do love how no police are involved in this film. Like, people are getting killed.
Well, the British people were the police there. They were just like an occupying army.
Yeah. But they just basically call in the archaeologists and they're like, yo, check this out. And they're like, whoa.
Oh, when
That's that.
when the guard dies.
Yeah.
Oh, we skipped that part.
Yeah.
The part where a guard dies in the British Museum. So
They leave the body there 3 days.
Imhotep is doing a ritual in the British
love
Museum,
this.
just crouched over a
In the
papyrus.
dark.
This is the ritual that like hypnotizes the girl Helen
Right.
and brings it to him. And while he's doing this, suddenly a guard comes in the room and is shining a flashlight through the darkness, lands on Imhotep, who has a classic like panic look.
Yeah. He's kneeling down.
Kneeling down, he
Big reaction
grabs his
face.
stuff. The guard walks over and turns the lights onto the room, and Imhotep is just walking away, just like no eye contact. Just
He
like,
goes,
maybe I
maybe
can
you
get out.
didn't see me.
And the guard is like, hey, what are you doing? And Imhotep goes to the other side of the room, turns the lights back out, and the guard's like, hey, what's going on? And walks behind him, and then off screen you hear the guard like get killed.
My,
like-
my favorite part is they both pretended like they didn't see each other.
It was like
like
a-
the guard, after he turns the lights on, starts sneaking towards them.
It was like a hit, like a moment from an old Hitman video game
Yeah.
where like the AI is bad.
Yeah, like so bad.
Yeah. You're just clunking around behind someone.
Yeah. After they confront Imhotep, they try to burn the
They try to
scroll.
burn the scroll, and now this is how Imhotep kills people in this incarnation. He has this epic pool like of water, like 3 feet squared
Yeah.
or so, and he like is able to look and like see people through far away, and then he like gives them heart attacks, by like squeezing his fist. So the guy trying to burn his scroll dies, and his I'm gonna say it once just so we know the context of it, but they frequently refer to Imhotep has this person who he's hypnotized helping him out, an Egyptian person who they frequently refer to as the Nubian.
What does that mean? I don't know.
That's like calling a Chinese person Oriental.
Oh, really?
But
I
for
didn't know that. That's
Middle
kind of
East.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
They also called Egypt the East in this movie,
Yeah.
which is wild.
Easter, yeah. Anything east of what, Germany?
I guess, yeah.
Exactly.
East. That guy who I'm pretty sure is a white man in some copper
I
face.
was gonna
for
say
sure.
yeah.
There are technically, I think, some Egyptian or Middle Eastern people in this movie, but they are all extras.
Yeah, there's no.
There's a
speaking
lot of
roles.
extras here.
So I guess at that point,
All right, so he's killed the dude. He's got the scroll.
he killed the old guy.
Killed the old guy. Who is this old guy? You might be asking. Doesn't matter.
It
We
doesn't.
only barely
He's a
know.
racist. We can kill him.
Yeah, really.
He
And
deserved
we're gonna
it.
see this in the next movie too, the one from the 50s. You're kind of like, okay, so I think the Egyptians are in the right here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All these British people are super entitled, imperialistic.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if that carries through to even like the Tom Cruise one. I wonder if Tom Cruise is like the guy coming in. He's not supposed to be there.
Oh yeah,
Oh
so?
yeah.
Gotta
For sure.
Okay, that'd be fun to compare across the decades.
across the centuries.
Yeah.
Okay, so to sum these things up, homegirl Helen is madly hot for the mummy. She goes to visit him.
Is she
takes
though?
her-
Because she changes her mind like 8 times.
Well, that's just her
Okay.
character, man.
Okay.
It's extremely
Okay, okay,
bipolar.
okay.
We'll get. I think that mainly happens at the end, but at this point in the movie, she
Okay.
goes to visit the mummy, and he takes her to his pool where he's like, "Look at this flashback."
Yes.
And he shows that like they used to be lovers 3,700 years ago.
In ancient Egypt. Yeah.
That was a great flashback.
They do have some really cool effects with it too. The camera
Yeah.
slowly pans over this like massive dry ice swirling thing, and then it like blows away, and you're watching.
And then bam,
something
you're in
else.
ancient Egypt.
And they have some like water rippling over it in this way that looked like I don't know how they did it.
Yeah.
At that time,
So she's at his place,
right?
right? She's been like
her-
hypnotized multiple times.
Yeah.
She kind of just keeps wandering there, and then she keeps leaving though. She keeps,
Right. She wants to go back.
Yeah, she keeps going back to her hotel room to talk to Frank every 6 hours.
She
Yeah.
doesn't like Frank at all.
No one
Yeah.
likes Frank.
She's very bothered by his attention to her.
Yeah.
And then eventually she's like, okay, help me out. And he's like, now that you've helped me out, I will never leave your side, or something along those lines. And
He
you're
said
like,
that, yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, oh,
Yeah, it was whack.
gosh, Helen.
He said, now that you've asked me to help you, I will never leave your side.
Now it's official. We made out, and now you've come, like, it's all
That's all.
done deal.
Done
So
deal.
made out is strong because she was like asleep on a couch and he kissed her. I don't think that counts.
While his dad watched.
yeah, I don't think
She
so.
wasn't technically asleep, but she was not in a good
Yeah, she
space.
was-
She had just, like, passed out.
A
moments
non-consenting individual at the time.
before. So there's various other rising action, but it's irrelevant. It all is leading
Yeah.
to the mummy finally gets Helen alone in the British Museum or in some, like, temple somewhere.
I think it's his place, like his.
tomb.
I don't
There's-
even know.
There's Egyptian statues
Yeah.
everywhere, like, legit.
That's probably where he had that black pool, right?
Right. Okay, you're right.
It's
It's
his- Yeah,
It
I
has
don't even know.
full statues of like all of the Egyptian
Yeah.
gods. And he has dressed her up in, faux pharaoh garb.
Cleopatra
Very
cosplay.
what do you say?
Sexy Egyptian goddess.
No, like when very appropriated.
Yeah, very appropriate. Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Like right out of a Halloween store.
yeah.
That's right.
Spirit Halloween has that on.
Yeah.
So he's like explaining what the situation is. He's like, okay, look, we loved each other.
Yeah.
There's this mummy that they dug of you from the ground, but that's just an empty shell. You are the newer version of this spirit. So what I'm going to do is we're going to destroy this shell, and then I'm going to kill you and then bring you back so that we're both mummies forever.
Right.
And at first, she is wildly excited by this. He breaks into,
Super
I guess, the
down.
British Museum, pulls out the mummy of Ankh-San-Amun and sets it on fire in a corner of the room.
And that's when she was like, wait a second.
Her mouth is like open, eyes wide, and she's like,
She does like this
Wait.
weird like.
Oh, she does the
Yay!
best hands thing I've ever seen. As soon as he breaks the glass.
yeah, can we even describe it?
It's like the more you know, like it's like the SpongeBob imagination hands.
It has no context over anything. She's watching him, and she just fans her
What does
hands
that
out.
mean?
It's wild. I don't even know.
Wild, no
Yeah.
idea. So she's doing all this, and then he's like, all right, we're going to go forward with the operation. And she's like, wait, what? And she looks at their friend in the corner, the hypnotized guy who's helping Boris out. And
Stirring
he's
some gumbo.
Stirring this cauldron, and he like
Yeah.
looks at her, and she's like, wait, you're going to boil me alive? Like, no. And then he's like, no, come on, babe, we're doing this. And she's like, all right, and goes back
Yeah.
in with it. He has this like chiseled stone dagger.
So
the,
dull.
the dullest thing you can imagine. He's going to stab her in the heart through that before boiling her. And then Frank and company come back and are useless. They do absolutely nothing to try to save her.
So low
dumb.
stakes.
So dumb. But she hops up. She's not into it this time, in this moment.
Yeah, she says, "No, I got this hot young body. I don't want to die.
I'm so young.
I'm alive. I'm young. I want to live.
I want to live."
And Boris is like, I'm not putting up with this shit today.
You guys, I'm just gonna stab you.
And she has kind of remembered some of her memories of being a 3,700-year-old Egyptian priestess. And so she runs to one of the statues and says, like, "Isis, give me power, save me." And then the statue moves and like
lightning
strikes and Boris de-ages or ages on the spot.
Yeah.
Also pretty cool effects.
Yeah.
That did look pretty cool. I think it was just like a crossfade kind of deal, but
Yeah,
kind
they did
of
it.
like the Wolfman from, I think
The old-
Universal
yeah.
also made the Wolfman.
was. Yeah, yeah.
It was probably a similar effect to that, but it
Absolutely.
looked good.
They did it.
Yeah.
They did it very well. And then the movie ends promptly at that moment with now Helen is doomed to spend eternity with Frank.
That was the saddest
Yes.
part for me because, she's free from being murdered and boiled. But then Frank comes up and just hugs her. She does not look enthused.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And then the movie ends.
Yeah, just immediately the movie ends.
That is how it was in like the old days, especially in like Alfred Hitchcock movies. The climax happens, 30 seconds, maybe 10, movie over.
I kind of like that,
Yeah.
honestly. There's not
There's
so
like-
much just like wrap up at the end.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's going to be tortured by Frank for the rest of
I don't
her
need to
life.
watch
You don't
her
need
and
to-
Frank have kids and be
Yeah.
happy together,
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that,
So we have, I mean, obviously the movie positions the mummy as a bad guy, and he is obviously trying to like murder this woman, and he's murdering all these people, but he
Yeah.
also, like, you believe that he genuinely loves this person. He multiple times says that he's like been like suffering in the afterlife for 3,000 years over his love for her. And that totally puts me more into his camp of anyone in this movie.
Oh, totally. I mean, it's
definitely more of a protagonist.
easy to root against the British imperialists.
Against Frank.
Yeah.
Against Frank.
Yeah,
Very
just especially Frank.
F-boy Frank.
Frank is just unlikable in general.
Absolutely.
Well, cool.
Is there anything else we need to get into in this one? I think we covered
No,
all
we
the
can
bases.
compare it
so.
later.
Yeah.
Once we watch the others.
So the next one is 20 years later, you said?
Next
It's in the
one
50s?
is almost 30 years later. It's 1959.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I doubt anyone worked on it from this one.
No, well, this is also this is British.
Yeah.
So it's not universal at all.
Oh, okay.
And I think there was
I wonder what the British will think about their own history.
I have seen this one recently, and yeah, it's same deal of like
Very
British
good.
people just breaking into tombs.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Love
You want to
that.
hear any like backstory of this, of just Hammer going in, or
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So like Hammer Studios have been trying to make movies for a while, and find success, and they hadn't. And then they made this one horror film, which was like, oh, this is kind of good. And then they made their own version of Frankenstein,
I see.
which I really like. It's super pulpy. In this one, Frankenstein is straight up murders a guy to get his brain. He is like an absolute madman.
That sounds sick.
That movie is a huge success. They make a Dracula, super success. So then they make this version.
Oh,
of
so
the
it's
Mummy.
almost the same timeline.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Like 111.
So are all the monsters just like the IP is just open IP?
I think so. Well, it's also, since it's Mary Shelley's.
Oh, that's probably just
Frankenstein,
like
yeah.
old enough that it's Creative Commons now or something.
Right, exactly.
That's interesting.
Dracula 2. And this one, the next mummy is not Imhotep. It might be based off of the sequel to the Universal Mummy. I vaguely heard that.
Was there in the 30s? There's a Mummy too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
This one, what makes these movies watchable, Hammer is like fun. We're going to see its Technicolor, which is like just really bright, vibrant colors.
Yes.
Hammer
cool.
Studios is like a huge turning point in horror. This is pre-Psycho, so like pre anything that we consider horror today.
Sure.
But the people like Spielberg ate this up, and it was like very influential.
Incredible. Well,
Okay, let's
I'm looking
take a
forward
look.
to it. Let's do it.
He who robs the graves of Egypt dies.
Good evening.
That's a different show.
It's a lifestyle cult. It's not just a show.
Yeah, you're right. I think that one was still pretty cool. A little drier than the first one. Similar story.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
Like, these movies were famous at the time for being more like violent and pulpy. You don't see it as much in this one, but they're also like very sexual.
I will say right off the bat, I
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed the first one a little bit more,
I would say so too.
but the action scenes in this were incredible.
Yeah,
Really good.
for sure. I think that maybe the thing we're kind of picking up on is there's just a lot more dialogue in this one. And it's kind of the same exact story as the first one with a little tweak here and there that we'll get into. But I feel like we kind of already got it. And they were talking about it for a long time.
Yeah. That is a thing you see in a lot of old movies of this sort where they just have to explain like what a zombie is
Sure.
for 30
For
minutes
so
before you get in.
long.
Whereas now you have World War Z and like
Yeah.
Brad Pitt has figured out how to like, cover himself
Totally.
up in 5 minutes. Like they just don't have to waste time anymore because we're so film literate.
I guess that's something we take
For
granted because we've just been watching movies for 50 years more than these people had been watching movies.
We start again at the burial site. A bunch of new British imperialists, archaeologists, are desecrating a tomb.
I think you were right.
This time they're even more on the nose, arrogant bastards.
Yeah. Literally wearing pith helmets, it's
Yeah.
bad stuff.
They've just uncovered the tomb of this princess, and then a Egyptian man played by, I looked him up, almost Egyptian man, at least not a British man in brown face.
Almost.
He's from Cyprus,
Progress,
which is like
progress.
in the vicinity of Egypt.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah.
He was a good actor.
So this Egyptian man comes up and is like, yo, guys, don't go into that tomb. They're like, for your own sakes, don't do this. And they're like, and for your own sakes, don't tell us what to do.
Mind your own business.
Mind your own business. The scene goes on for like a long minute of this very entitled old British fart just telling off this man.
My favorite was how hard it was for him to get into the tomb.
Yeah, he was struggling.
Solid
He
10
was.
seconds to crawl in there. And then he just looked like he was having trouble moving.
Yeah. Also, the tomb kind of looked bad. I think like the first one, we moved from black and white to Technicolor for this one.
Which at first, I was very excited.
Yeah.
When you see everything outside, you're like, wow,
It looks
so
great.
vibrant, so nice.
When they're filming real things with Technicolor, it looks awesome. Like later in the movie, they go to like a house, and the house looks really cool. But when they build a set and shoot it on Technicolor,
And use weird colors to accentuate. Everything's
it was just
accentuated.
weird. It just looked weird and unnatural for
They
a
also
lot
had
of
like
it.
a really fake looking green light. in
That
the
was
tomb.
what ruined
Yeah.
the tomb
Yeah,
completely.
but only one. So it's like, imagine that like a kitchen normally lit, and then there's just a green light shining
In the corner.
In the corner,
Yeah, it's like a gamer setup,
right?
It's got LED bars somewhere in the room.
Somewhere hanging out.
So these entitled old farts have come to Egypt with their son, who is also pretty old, but he's played by a guy I really love, Peter Cushing, who many of us know as Grand Moff Tarkin, the villain who runs the Death Star in the original Star Wars.
You may remember him from the terrible CGI face that they did.
Indeed, the CGI resurrection
Yeah.
in Rogue One.
R.I.P. a legend.
Indeed, he is. So he's like a mainstay in all the Hammer horror movies, and he is like a really good actor because he like grounds everything.
Yeah, he was super great.
It's really
Oh,
solid.
he's by far the best, minus the Mummy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who is the other big guy in the Hammer horror films, but we'll get to him in a second. So he is like the son of this old fart, but he stays behind out in the camp because his leg is injured. So these old guys get into the tomb, and one of them leaves. And as he's out, he hears the guy in there scream, and they find him, and he's like mouth moving, no words coming out, completely lost his mind.
He never dies, right?
Oh, he dies.
He dies.
Not from that.
Okay.
Later.
Right. So
Oh, that's right.
they take everything out of the tomb, blow up the door to it. So
That was messed up.
That was
like
one of my favorite
bizarre.
moments in the movie. They were like, "Is that everything?" Yes, that's everything.
Blow it to pieces.
cave it in.
They just make the slaves do it too.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. They're literally enslaving people in Egypt to excavate this thing. They don't
then
bring that up in
blow
the
it up.
movie, but
No, well,
that
they-
is what's happening.
In a way, they do. Well, we'll get to that later. There is a moment where the Egyptian man straight up goes to the British man and is like, "You guys are so arrogant. You think you can just go into this culture and like grave rob, and you know nothing." And we're still supposed to think that that guy is the bad guy.
Yeah.
While the British man is like, I can do whatever I want.
Long, detailed conversations about how this is justified.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Meanwhile, that said Egyptian man has got this scroll from the tomb somehow. And he, speaking to the old Egyptian god that they 100% made up, the god Karnak.
Yeah.
Karnak is not a god.
Yeah, there's
Karnak
a temple, right?
is a famous temple in Egypt.
Did one day of research Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Well, at least they kind of got the names. At least the pronunciation's correct this time.
Yeah.
It was better.
It was better.
It's less cringy.
Yeah.
Cut to 3 years later. The guy who was found babbling is still in a, what do they call it? Like an institution for the mentally disordered.
Yeah.
Imagine rolling up to that and your parents are like, all right, buddy, going in here. You're like, mentally disordered. What the?
This was like lobotomy days too, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like scooping people's noggins in there.
Oh, right. This one is set 1800s.
1898.
1898.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a feeling the one we're about to see, it's not 1932. I think it's like 1912 or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Really? The Brendan Fraser one? I thought that was like
It is.
they have like a plane though, don't they?
It's a propeller plane. It's
We're
like a
World War I plane.
Oh,
so
you're right.
it's
So
got to
it's
be
the
20s.
Yeah.
Okay.
1920.
Gotcha.
It doesn't always feel like that in that film.
If,
No.
that's
When
one of those,
they're in Egypt, you're like, this could be like
Yeah.
modern day, whatever.
it kind of feels like one of those movies where like it's not necessarily set in a specific time. That's just the vibe I got off of it.
So cut to 3 years in the future. The father has finally come out of his fugue state. Everyone who knows nothing about mental illness is like, well, we thought he was gone forever, but I guess he's come back now. He wants to talk to you. And he's like, you must beware, son. The mummy is coming for us. And they're like, yeah, you're still crazy, Dad. Goodbye.
And then we get the best scene of the
They
film.
put him in a padded room. And they say, we won't be able to hear you if you scream.
He did just mention that. He didn't even talk about like screaming and other. Just like
He's
Just
totally
so you know, my
silent,
man.
totally calm.
Yeah.
They're like, won't be able to hear you if you scream.
they
Sonny boy."
leave.
Yeah. Really quick before that, there's a whole bit where the Egyptian man is shipping this crate of old Egyptian
the
relics.
drug dudes.
And
I
he's
like
hired
that.
these two drunk, like, I don't even know, dudes to like use a horse and cart to bring it to his house.
British people.
Just drunk British people.
Standard.
And they are
Baseline British
going like 60 miles an hour in this horse
they're
and cart
ripping
with
it.
a crate that is not tied down.
Yeah, it's all a casket.
A casket. And that is what actually the old father in the mental institute is freaking out about. He starts smashing windows because he senses the mummy is coming. Yeah. And anyway, these guys ripping around on their horse and cart. The crate, which we know has got the mummy in it, falls into this bog. And the next day they're like, oh, we didn't find anything. And the Egyptian man who ordered it is like, it's all good.
Yeah, it's all good.
And so that night he goes with the scroll of life and he reads it out. And then the mummy emerges from this bog, dripping goo
amazing.
and mud. It is really
It looks
good.
really cool.
He is like a classic, like wrapped up mummy.
Mm-hmm.
And he is played by one of my personal heroes, Christopher Lee. You will know him as Saruman the White or as Count Dooku.
He's so good in this, even though he doesn't talk at all.
Dude, his eyes.
He does
the
all
body
this eye
acting.
acting, all this body acting. He's also 6'5", and you can tell.
Oh, you could tell.
He's
big.
towering over everyone.
I mean, yeah, we're getting to my favorite part, and probably Colt's favorite part too.
Yeah. So he steps out of this bog, and the Egyptian man is like, "Go now and kill the ones who defiled the crypt of the
infidels."
princess." He does say infidels multiple times. They're like, "Oh, this is written by white people." And so Christopher Lee, the mummy, is this kind of like robot. Like the way he walks is really well done, where he's kind of like janky and like
Yeah, and he's
arms
getting his
straight.
bearings. He did that so well.
Yeah, like sort of looks around. You just see his eyes, and he emotes really well through them.
For sure.
And so we cut back. This is when we cut back to the people strapping the father into a padded cell. No one will hear you if you scream. And then he looks up. He's got this like window high in the ceiling. It's fairly big, but like it's grated off. There's bars on the outside, bars, glass, and then like
Another grade.
a grate, like a metal mesh. And you see this shadow crank the bars like
Oh, yeah.
side
And it's
to
like,
side. Yeah, like
And then one bar, and then the second bar.
second bar, and then the mummy smashes through this window, And they cut to this wide shot of the old guy gutting out of bed and screaming by the door.
He's trying to run to the door.
Runs to the door, and the whole time you see this mummy crawling through this hole, like destroys the metal grate, and he's like leaving mud and slime behind him.
It's really cool.
He has 3 amazing entrances throughout the movie.
Oh yeah, that one was the best.
Yeah.
But the one where he breaks through a door, I'm pretty sure that was a full weight door.
Yeah.
That did
it
not
looks
look
it.
like a prop door.
And it's such a good moment too that
It blew it off the hinges.
that moment, so that moment's the mummy's killing a second old fart who you don't care about. And the old fart has just been like, I don't believe in mummies or anything. And he like walks out into the hall, and then the door behind him just flies off its hinges, and the mummy is there. Like it looks
like dynamite was
yeah.
fucking detonated.
You see it and you believe that this 6'5" man is just blasting through solid wood.
Oh,
it looks
yeah.
amazing.
Full Kool-Aid man moment.
Full Kool-Aid man.
And then the
moment.
last one, he just goes right through this like
It's great. Yeah, so our hero, Peter Cushing, is standing in this big room with these huge like door windows, whatever you call those.
yeah.
And you see they're shining a spotlight outside onto it. So you see this shadow approaching the window, solidifying into the form of the mummy. And then he just full body crashes through glass.
Oh yeah, it takes
inside.
him like 2 seconds tops.
Yeah.
And then he does not lose pace.
No, and the guy starts shooting him, and they have these amazing squibs where it really looks like his body's getting blasted apart, and he like gets hit by like the force of the gun, but does not lose pace.
Yeah. Right.
It is
And then he
awesome.
stabs him with a spear.
Yeah,
Like a fire
And
poker.
that looked very legitimate.
yeah, it goes straight through.
They
him.
must have used a cast.
Yeah, it was a close up, so they might have just had like a torso.
The fight
Figurine or something
choreography
that they-
was amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, the fighting was really good. The fighting was great.
all of that is very solid.
No, not many cuts either. Like not many
No,
angles.
yeah, they'd have
That's
these
true.
big wide shots, and like the mummy just strangles people in this one, which is like very visceral compared to him giving people heart attacks,
Especially
in the
with-
last movie.
Because he's so big, it's just
Yeah.
like he doesn't even have to be like doing scary things.
No, once
Yeah.
he grabs you, you're done.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like they just know it's like it's
Yeah.
over.
The strangling is very successful. He's very good at it.
Yeah. All right. So just to speed through, so those are like the 3 incredible parts of the movie.
Yeah.
But
So
in
he's
the-
just hunting down the
Hunting
people.
down the
Yeah.
people. This is all at the request, at the command of this Egyptian guy, Mehmet Bey, who is like the actual villain of the film. Even though, again, you kind of sympathize with him more. Than
He's
all
for
these
sure the good guy.
dickheads.
Yeah, he's the good guy.
Yeah.
He told him, don't mess with the tomb.
Yeah, and they were like, "When we tell you to fuck off, sir, we
It
go where we
belongs in a
please."
museum. Yeah, for sure.
It's like, right. So that guy is ordering the mummy, it's kind of this automaton, to go out and murder these people.
Yeah.
But then, after the father in the mental institute dies, they go into one of the longest, slowest paced flashbacks ever in a movie, which
Yeah.
shows the origin of the mummy.
I got lost in that.
Yeah, it's incredibly long.
It's like at least 10 minutes long.
It
and then they
felt
come
like
back.
a different
15 or 20,
movie.
yeah.
I was like, where are we?
And then they do
And then
another
they come back
flashback.
to the tomb where we
Right.
started.
Right, there is a double flashback
Double.
sequence.
And then you rewatch again the beginning of the,
And the,
film.
the footage
With the-
looks exactly the same too.
It
It's not like
is.
it's degraded or anything.
No.
The set doesn't look older.
You're
It's
like,
just
wait,
the
are we
same.
just rewatching?
So the first flashback is Christopher Lee in brown face.
Yep.
There's no way around it.
That is what happened.
Yeah. And what does he do? Oh, so it's all about how his girlfriend, Princess Ananka, she of the tomb that they broke into in the beginning, she died of an illness, and they have a long, drawn-out funeral ceremony for her. And
That
then
sucked.
they get into Christopher Lee breaking into her tomb to try to bring her back to life, and he gets caught. And so like the old one and like the one we're about to see, he gets
Yes.
wrapped up and buried alive. And this one, they also cut off his tongue, which curiously comes back in the Brendan Fraser one.
Yeah, I
It
remember that
does,
from the
which is
Brendan Fraser
awesome.
one.
And in this one, the shotgun shooting and the tongue cutting was way more graphic, but they had to cut it out to
Yeah.
censor it
Oh, really?
for British
Tragic.
television. Yeah.
That's
Because you know how they
that's
did the
interesting.
tongue and the dagger didn't look sharp at all.
Right.
They didn't show anything really.
Yeah.
I think there's probably a lot of
There's
blood.
an unrated version of this film
I
that
don't
exists.
even know if they even released an unrated version.
Probably not.
No,
probably
they
this
wouldn't
old. They probably
Because
just
you
said-
would have that would have been it.
one version.
I'm assuming, right?
I also doubt they would have actually shown the tongue get cut off, but they could have shown, like, the way it is in the Brendan Fraser one, you see a guy with tongs,
Holding
his
it out.
tongue
So maybe
out
that's
while
what
he
it
sees
was.
the knife coming towards his face. So there's a lot more like anguish.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, he's facing away, and you see people bring the knife down. It's still intense. They still show tongs like going towards his mouth.
Well,
But anyway, it's a long sequence. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just saying they could have done it with like an animal tongue or something. If they
Or
wanted to go
the
crazy.
shadow on the wall would have been sick.
Ooh,
The shadow of the tongue being cut off.
Oh yeah. That's what we need.
That's what we wanted.
That's what we wanted.
So yeah, then they do have an interim where one of the guys gets killed in between these flashbacks, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
Then they go to the, like you said, the flashback of the beginning of the movie where we see what the old man saw that made him go into a mental asylum. And it's literally just the mummy comes out and he freaks out, and that is it.
That's it.
So finally we're like,
Yeah, that was okay.
It's funny because a lot of other people see the mummy in the movie and don't have like this weird like
Yeah.
like psychosomatic like, oh, I'm gonna go into a coma for 6 years response.
The one dude at the bar who goes, I need a big one. And they pour him like a half-ounce shot.
right. He's seen the mummy. He's supposed to be like barely losing his mind.
He's, he's tippy toe. He's freaking out.
Yeah.
Pour me a tall whiskey. Yeah, they just give him a shallow shot glass.
I'm talking 1/3 of a shot glass.
Yeah.
So I guess at this point, like the two older explorer guys are dead.
Yeah.
It's just the son of the main explorer that's
Right.
still alive.
Peter Cushing is still out there.
Yeah.
A watchable actor. We're like, okay.
And he has a love interest that
has this-
was not introduced until like very late in the movie.
She's present, but given no like weight.
There's no reason to like think she's a character until
No, she's-
very late in the movie.
Yeah. After the first two people, 2/3 in through all of these flashbacks,
Yeah.
finally he's looking at a picture. I don't know who sketched this pencil sketch of Ananka, who's been dead for 4,000 years.
On like very flat, uncrinkled paper that's
All
somehow
the scrolls
existed.
of this that are 4,000 years
Yeah.
old look pristine.
Pristine.
They hadn't figured out like how to age paper, I guess, when they made this movie. But
His wife comes in, Peter Cushing's wife, and he's looking at the picture of the princess, and he looks up and he's like, darling, with your hair down, you look like Princess Ananka. And she's like, oh, really? And this is also one of the great put downs I've heard all day.
fantastic line.
He's like, she was said to be one of the most beautiful women in the world. And she's like, oh, you flatterer. And then what does he say, Colt? He's like,
Well, the world was very small.
oh, well, the world was very small back then.
Yeah. Took it away.
Damn.
Get burned.
Get burned. And so that's like moments before the mummy smashes through the glass to kill Peter Cushing.
Right.
And then she walks in and the mummy looks up. It's actually hilarious the way he like jerks his eyes to the door like don't interrupt me. Like I'm in the meeting. And then he sees her and you know he's just overwhelmed because she is his love. And this is actually one of Christopher Lee's good acting moments because only with his eyes he communicates this like deep sadness and like sorrow.
Yeah.
You do feel for it.
It's really good.
It's good.
It's really good.
It's amazing. He also does that head turn in the scene.
He does, yeah, his head jerk. It's great.
So good.
So he walks up to her, does this sad eye thing, and then just walks out, having done
She
nothing.
faints, right?
No, this is the first time he just walks away. He hasn't killed
right.
Peter Cushing. He hasn't done anything.
I forgot
with
it
her.
happened exactly the same 2 times.
Yeah. So he returns to the Egyptian man, and then Peter Cushing shows up because everyone's like, "There's an Egyptian man in town. He's going to be a
Must be
suspect."
him.
That was when I started to remember. I'd read some back when I was like, I don't know, a teenager, and really excited about this idea of like how horror movies are like, you know, psychological, like allegories. And so it was like, oh, the wolf man is like our fear of like our inner like animal, like coming out uncontrollable. And like there's this like fear of death, fear of cannibalism. And I do think I read in like an academic paper being like, yes, and the mummy is about ethnophobia. What? And you're like, yeah, straight up the whole time it's British people being like, there is an Egyptian man among us. He wants to hook up with our women. We must destroy him.
Oh my God. You're right.
Shoot him.
Really fucked.
That's so bad.
It's bad. Peter Cushing meets up with this Egyptian man, and they have this real, like, I mean, it's a long talking scene, and everyone's kind of bored with it, but it's fairly intense. The way this Egyptian man is straight up like, you think you can just do whatever you want, and you can't. You are ignorant, and you are wrong.
Yeah.
And he is like, oh, am I wrong?
Wait, what's
such
the
a-
word he used? Because that was a cool line.
Intolerant.
intolerant. And he
Oh, yeah.
goes,
He's like, you're intolerant. He's like,
he goes,
not intolerant.
I'm not intolerant.
Just practical.
practical. And then the guy goes,
Intolerant.
He just shakes his head slowly and intolerant.
game, set, match.
Yeah. Win.
Blouses.
True protagonist.
It's truly like a base conversation.
He goes, you suck. He goes, no. And the guy goes, you do.
You do.
Yeah. You suck.
You suck.
The weirdest part of that whole scene though is like the filmmakers want Peter Cushing to be the good guy.
Yeah.
And that's the full intention.
Yeah.
That is the intention even like upon release of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's no moment of self-reflection in these people
No.
where they go like, man, this is kind of fucked.
But at the same time, it like watching it now, you're like, oh, they are like straight up calling out archaeologists and imperialists, these dudes for just fucking around.
In
They
the
didn't
time,
realize
in
it.
the moment, they were not aware.
They were not. No.
Very strange.
So there's a whole subplot that we don't have to go into where they get this police officer and try to tell him.
Let's
there's a
ignore
mummy.
that. Yeah,
We
that was
will.
bad.
I just
That was
bring it
bad.
up because it's. I bring it up because it's like an example of they are wasting your time. There's nothing gained from the guy slowly interviewing all the other characters through the movie and hearing that there's been a mummy, and you're like, okay, come on.
Like, I know.
Go.
I mean, maybe it kind of goes back to the thing we were talking about at the beginning of this segment where we were like 50 years of movies has happened between then and now. And maybe like that was necessary for people to like understand what was happening back in the day. Well, now people are just like, oh yeah, it's a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, of course, people are confused why people are dying around town.
Yeah.
We don't got to get into this at all.
You don't have to follow a side character. Tell us
Yeah.
everything we've already learned many times in this movie.
Yeah, we can just kind of keep following the plot instead of
We don't have to flashback and rewatch the
pausing
beginning
every
of the
5
movie.
minutes to
We
figure
don't
out
have to
what's going on.
rewatch
We don't have to
beginning
rewatch the
Yeah.
start of the film.
to keep pace in the middle.
Yeah.
I like figured why that guy freaked out and was put in a mental hospital or the mentally disordered.
You figured that out beforehand? I mean, there was no
I mean, they showed him freaking out.
You're
like,
right. You're
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we
You're
don't
right.
got to rewatch the whole scene.
You're
Especially
right.
when it's not exciting. Anyway.
True.
So after Peter Cushing leaves, the Egyptian guy, he keeps the mummy just like in his closet, basically, in the corner. He also has this incredible like Egyptian god statue, and not one of us could determine what animal the statue was.
Oh, yeah. It was kind of like a sloth otter.
Sloth, otter,
A
weasel.
weasel,
white
a
eyes.
beaver, maybe.
It had like hammerhead eyes almost.
Yeah, this kind of weird, almost horseish snout, but like too narrow. Definitely wasn't a horse.
Yeah, it looked like a knockoff like theme park attraction almost.
Oh, straight up,
That's the other. Yeah, it comes back to the set design.
Yeah.
It was lacking.
It lacked this time. With the Technicolor, did not bring any of their
Technicolor exposed them.
yes,
It did.
reveals everything. So the movie is wrapping up to its final bit. They've got all sorts of police officers around Peter Cushing's house because they're like, oh yeah, the Egyptian is definitely coming back to kill you.
Oh, yeah. They got tons of rifles.
Tons of dudes. The Egyptian man is personally killing people with the mummy in
Which was
tow.
funny that the mummy's following him while this dude is murdering people.
Maybe someone actually realized, they're like, wait a minute, that last scene where he like calls out
We have to
the
make him
British
that
people,
he has to kill people or people will think he's good.
we have to make sure everyone knows he's bad. Personally murders police officers.
That's pretty good.
So the mummy crashes in again, less of a cool entrance this time, and he's strangling Peter Cushing, and Peter Cushing strangles very well. He really
good at
does look
that.
like he does it actually in every of these movies, Frankenstein, Dracula, and this one. He has a
It's
similar strangling
Really?
scene. Yeah,
Nice.
It's amazing.
He got typecast as the strangled guy.
Precisely. Right. The mummy's killing him, and the girlfriend, the wife, runs in. She's like, stop. And the mummy looks at her and like looks back. And so what does she do? She has to let her hair down so that she looks more like Princess Ananka. And then the mummy looks up and is like, oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, he was
Oh,
like,
for sure. You're
oh, I need this
You're
right now.
So he starts to look at her, and the Egyptian man comes in and is like, kill her. And the mummy's like, what? I mean, just with his eyes, he just like looks side eyes in and is like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so the Egyptian man runs up to murder this woman, and the mummy grabs him and breaks his back.
That was so good.
Pretty incredible.
Because at first I'm like, grabs his arm and then puts his entire body like across his chest and puts him on his knee.
And you're
And I'm like,
what?
wait, that doesn't look like it's like hurting him, And then he just snaps his spine in half.
Yeah. And you're like, oh. It was a satisfying moment.
That was pretty cool.
And then he picks the girl up, classic monster movie style, carrying her straight back.
Yo, I'm talking no problem.
Yeah.
Which this woman weighs maybe 110 pounds. Looked like he was carrying like a tray from the cafeteria.
Right, exactly. Just marches her off to the bog.
But why though? Why the bog? Was that explained in this one? Because in the last one, it was like we're gonna go do the secret ritual, and then and then you'll be my lover again.
Maybe he was just escaping through the bog, and then everyone corners him in the bog.
I see.
The woman wakes up, tells the mummy to set her down, and the mummy again is a much better guy than all the other guys in this movie, including her husband, who told her that she's not that pretty, dear.
Yeah. That's right.
And so the mummy sets her down because she asked him to, and then they light the mummy up.
Oh, he gets head
They
shot.
have like a mannequin or something that's head, like it disintegrates.
It was awesome.
There's no reason for the mummy to die to bullets now, though. He already got shot like a lot in the movie.
Yeah, you are 100% right. They show him get shot by shotguns and pistols, and he doesn't react until now.
And then he does the epic Terminator 2.
Slowly sinking into the bog, holding the life scroll up.
Which looks like a thumbs up.
It looks like he's doing the Arnold thumbs up.
Yeah.
And then roll credits immediately.
I'm talking
Instantly.
the scroll isn't even submerged. We got credits.
Finger breaks the plane of the water.
Yeah.
Credits.
Henry was like, yeah, back then, like you get climax, 30 seconds later it's over. This was 4 seconds after the climax.
Zero resolution. We never learn anything about the other characters. We don't even know if the guy whose back was broken is dead. We assume
I'm
so.
assuming so, but you never
we don't know.
Yeah.
It was just not as good as the first one.
It's just not paced nearly as well.
But luckily, we are going into
the best of the 4.
Easily the best. I haven't seen the 4th, but
It
don't
has
even
to
worry
be.
about it. It has to be the best one.
Our sweet boy, Brendan.
Yeah. I remember seeing this, not in theaters, but right when it came out on VHS and DVD. I've seen this next one over 5 times.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the bugs under the skin.
Oh, yeah.
That terrified
There have
me.
been no scarabs so far in these mummy movies.
That
They're
movie
about to
was
be introduced.
equally frightening for me and so fun at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was probably my first foray into like quote unquote horror. You wouldn't call it a horror movie, but when it gets dark, I mean, it's like freaky.
I think I'd probably say the same thing. I can't really think of anything else that kind of fits that. Well, let's watch the best horror movie ever made. Brendan Fraser's The Mummy.
Let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
Where did you get this?
On a dig down in Thebes.
Jonathan, I think you found something.
They came to uncover its secrets.
Mummies, my good son. This is where they made the mummies.
They sought to unlock its treasure.
And then there was light.
Oh, boy.
What they did
Oh, my God. It does exist.
I think this may be the Book of the Dead.
was unleash a force unlike any the world has ever known.
You must not read from the book! What the hell was that?
You have unleashed the creature that we have feared for more than 3,000 years.
Whoa!
He will regenerate and no longer be the undead.
We are in serious trouble.
Can you swim?
If the occasion calls for it.
Trust me! It calls for it!
Universal Pictures invites you.
His powers are growing.
What? This just keeps getting better and better.
To experience the adventure.
It appears he's already chosen his human sacrifice.
That will live forever.
If he turns me into a mummy, you're the first one I'm coming after.
The Mummy.
That could mean many things.
Could be very offensive.
I really hope they told him that's the one line he needs to learn. And then they're like, yeah, that's just like your catchphrase. He's like, okay,
sweet.
And then he watches the movie. He's like, wait,
Wait,
You dubbed over?
Why did you sub
Why'd you do
8
that?
different things over this?
Why did you do that?
I would have learned 4 other phrases.
It's not that hard.
I'm an actor.
I learned
I look like
lines.
an asshole now.
It's 5 words. I can do it.
Context for our audience: one of the Egyptian characters in the movie has this line, which approximately goes, and he says it about 3 different times, but every time the subtitles say something completely different.
It's so clearly the same line. Isn't it? Oh, God.
Absolutely amazing.
Well, that's the takeaway we have from this film.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. That's it. That's the review.
Yeah.
I really liked it. We're going to say a lot of good things about this movie. I'm going to say a negative thing to start.
Please.
I think the brother is obnoxious.
Really?
In the second and third act. I am so fucking sick and tired of these dumb Rob Schneider motherfuckers popping up in good movies and ruining them with their terrible jokes and one-liners and, oh, I'm falling down now. I don't like it. That's what I have to say. The rest of the movie's great, though.
I don't mind him.
You don't mind him? Okay.
No. He is a lot. And even in his entrance out of the, tomb where he scares his sister, it just like sets the tone for his character for the rest of the movie.
True.
And you're like, yeah, this guy's a lot. He might be in love with his sister, but that's okay.
Is it? Is it okay?
And he's kind of, they allude that he's a drunk, I suppose.
Well, he pretends to be drunk for one scene, and they're like, "Oh, we're not gonna keep doing that."
Oh yeah. Well, no, I think he was supposed to be. He was supposed to be drunk, and then his acting was a little rough on that. So,
what scene are we talking about?
At the very beginning,
Very
when he's
beginning.
in the coffin.
Yeah, he's like exiting it, and he looks wasted.
Toasted.
Yeah.
The movie's good.
Yeah.
The movie's very good.
Your middle name is Fisher?
Why are you looking through my wallet right now?
Don't worry.
Yeah, my middle name's Fisher.
Just want to dox you out here.
God damn. What do you guys think? How does this compare to the other two?
I mean, it blows him away.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
Scale-wise, it completely blows them away. I would say the first one was maybe still my favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Why?
Because of the brother. I mean, quite honestly.
Wow, it dragged it down.
I don't know. I think that's maybe just like a pet peeve of me in movies is like the Rob Schneider character. I'm so anti that character. But I think this movie is very good.
I think it's the perfect adventure film.
Yeah.
It does feel like Indiana Jones.
Even the
very Indiana Jones.
The first half hour where they establish everything, it is really long, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
To meet all the characters and establish the city of the dead and everything,
yeah.
dude.
I mean, the pacing of it's really good throughout too.
Like you didn't even need that whole boat ride of them going over there.
It was fun though.
But them like meeting the rival Americans.
Yeah, that's important.
It's really important, and they do it so well on there.
This is a very good movie. I have one pet peeve that it was at the end of the movie that's standing out to me. But the rest of it was fantastic. Brendan Fraser's very fun.
Incredible.
Yeah. Very charismatic.
Charismatic. So good at the comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was
good at the fight scenes too.
Very good at the fight scenes. I was thinking about like throughout the movie, he is like physically beating the shit out of like Benny, who is like a comedic villain.
Right.
And it never feels like cruel. I mean, that's also filmmaking team making Benny totally hateable. Him just doing all this stuff like throwing Benny off of boats and like low key torturing him, just like throwing him around a room.
He almost killed him multiple
times. You never care about it. Like there are times these days when I see Chris Pratt and I'm like, you're not a good guy. Mm-hmm. And Brendan Fraser, I never have that problem.
Do you mean in like real life? Or?
All around. Okay. I see him in the movies and I'm like, I don't believe in you anymore. You're not my hero.
Wait, you're not going to like Mario? You're not going to believe in Mario when he shows up?
We'll check it out and we'll see how it goes.
I cannot wait to see
It's me, Mario. Have you heard him do?
No.
It's a me, Mario.
He does not do that.
It's a me, Mario.
No way.
Okay, he's not even trying anymore.
Yeah, it's almost like he thinks it's a joke.
Which
Let's get off of that.
Right.
Brendan Fraser's so much better.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What happened to Brendan Fraser after this?
Well, he was in some.
They did more movies, though, didn't they?
He did more movies.
Some rom-coms, right?
It's in rom-coms.
But like
this is a very
mummy movies.
Well, yeah, he was in the remaining Mummy franchise. They made 2 more after this one.
Okay.
All sucked. This is a sad and dark moment. He was one of the male people who spoke out during the Me Too movement.
Oh, he was like super early.
Yeah. He was like sexually assaulted by some producer. And then I don't know if he was necessarily blacklisted or just like traumatized, but yeah, he was absolutely like depressed for a long time.
Shit. Now that I'm remembering that story a little bit more, I do think he has said in interviews that he like wasn't hit up for movies for a very long time.
Yeah.
Wild. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. I mean, same with Rose McGowan. It wasn't that she like immediately went out and was like, Harvey Weinstein's a fuck. Like,
yeah,
the assault happened and then immediately like blacklisted after.
Shit.
Just like,
well, we've missed you, Brennan. I'm glad you're reappearing in public.
He's coming.
Everyone back on my TV. In this house.
Yeah. This household. Do we want to go over the plot as quickly as we can?
Yeah,
so we have a lot of the same classic elements we've had from the 30s. We go to a dig site, we find a mummy, we bring mummy back to life. The mummy is bound to kill the people who awakened it, or in this case, they do a slight change of that. But the mummy has to kill some people.
Right.
And then the mummy is also falling in love with the mummy. Indeed, is falling in love with a modern reincarnation of his long lost love, and that is his motivation.
Correct.
Which is interesting because Rachel Weisz's character does say, "Hey, I have Egyptian blood in me," kind of like the first one.
Yeah,
but Imhotep. I don't know if he actually mentions that she is the reincarnation in this one.
She's not.
It's not as explicit.
He's just saying. He's just picking her for the human sacrifice.
Right. They twist it so that he needs a female human sacrifice to bring his love back. Still works. Like, same general thing.
Basically.
I think it's more simplified in this one, which I enjoy. Like how it's more, this one's more about like the plot of the actual movie instead of like the lore of the world, which I think is cool.
Yeah. What's also interesting is just how they structure this one. The last two movies start at the dig site with them finding a mummy, and the mummy comes out pretty soon, even if you don't see him in the 50s one. This one, and then both of them have a long flashback in the middle where they show, oh, this is what was going on with him. He's got his girlfriend that he wants to bring back, and that's why he died. This one starts with ancient Egypt, and it's a lot, not darker, but like his whole thing is that he's in love with this woman who's like the pharaoh's mistress, and they straight up murder the pharaoh. They're clearly bad guys, but they're also very much in love. So you have this like very unique tension. Yeah, you kind of feel for them, and you recognize that they're bad guys, but you feel for their connection.
I mean, the intro to this is amazing.
Super well done.
Yeah. Also cool that the backstory was in the intro instead of a flashback later.
Straight up,
yeah.
That was my first thing. Is they just start with that, and it's way more story driven. Like you feel for this character. You're not just sifting through this long.
You're not like, oh, it's a random pharaoh or a random king mummy, like whatever, you know. In this one, you're like, oh, it's this dude.
Yeah,
this is what went down.
Yeah.
And when they find them, the mummy. You know who it is immediately.
Right, exactly. You know? And you actually have this feeling of like, oh man, this guy's coming back.
And when he's slowly getting the body back, you start seeing the actor.
Yeah.
You know, and you recognize him already by stage 2.
Exactly, yeah.
Mummy's way more powerful in this one too. In the last couple, he's just like really strangling people, and now he's like the Lord of the Cosmos.
Oh, he rolls in with the sand tech and just fucking wins him out.
Yeah, that part doesn't make sense to me. Is that they, you know, like the old ones, they curse him to live in the afterlife in cursed zone, but they're like, but they must never allow him to rise again, or he would have the power of the sands and the glory of invincibility. It's like, wait a minute. It would be like curse. If we put someone in prison and you're like, but if they ever get out of prison, they immediately become dictators.
Yeah, why did
of the United States?
There's no reason why he was like blessed with those powers, you know?
No, it's just because of
the scarabs
curse they put on him.
Are the scarabs like magic? Is that what it is? Is it like scarabs are magic in the world?
No, it's the inscriptions they put on the curse.
But like they have the little like gold scarabs that like they're gold and then they turn into real
blue
scarabs.
Gold.
I don't know.
The scarabs are all. I don't know.
Who cares?
Who can say?
Flesh eaters.
They start with that, then they bring us to the modern day, which is now 1923. We have various heroes. We have Brendan Fraser, just one of the best action heroes I think has ever come out.
I mean, honestly, he's just like cool.
He's really cool.
But he's not.
Funny.
He's not like obnoxious cool.
No.
He's like relatable cool.
Bringing it back to Chris Pratt, when I liked Chris Pratt is when he's, you know, he's suave, he's tough, and then he'll like goof up on something or be an idiot for a second, and then you laugh at him. Like Brendan Fraser has not the same element, but a similar, like he'll do stuff where you're like, oh, like is George of the Jungle like comedic thing goes down. And then again, he's like totally capable of gunfighting.
He just
everyone.
he just seems like a real person. Like
Yeah.
like Tom Cruise never seems like a real person in
Looks like
movies.
a lizard or a velociraptor.
Well, he is.
Well, I also love the part where him and Rachel are getting drunk at night, and she's like wasted and about to kiss him and falls asleep, and he's just like,
and he doesn't kiss her.
Yeah,
like the other two main protagonists of the
He's
other
just like,
movies.
"Oh, darn," and then just kind of like lets her sleep in his lap.
Yeah, he
Yeah, he's
doesn't.
like,
he doesn't
"Damn."
assault a woman
Yeah.
in the movie
It's
like the
kinda
other two.
Absolute hero.
Absolute hero.
What a
For the
legend!
times, that's why you got
What a
canceled.
cool guy!
Hollywood saw Harvey Weinstein saw that. He's like, "What the f?
What is this guy doing?
She's out cold.
You have a chance."
This is your one shot."
Oh my god!
Brendan Fraser.
So like the first, we said half hour, it might be like the first hour of the movie is this buildup of Rachel Weisz, who's a librarian.
Yeah.
Very much wants to be like a British Egyptian scholar, but can't get her big break. And then she finds this map to the city of the dead, this long lost Indiana Jones-ian Egyptian city, where they expect to find all sorts of riches and artifacts, and they need Brendan Fraser to take them there. And there's a long journey of them going through the desert, meeting this other group of explorer treasure hunters who are all assholes. The Americans, we will refer to them here on out.
They're cool though.
They're fun. They are
fun,
fun. I just noticed like they're very irredeemable for the most part. Like
Oh, yeah.
every line they have is to reinforce that they're all douchebags, which will come important for the second half of the movie. So it's probably like about halfway through that the mummy actually comes back.
Yeah.
And then it's
You're
like
right, yeah.
20 to 30 minutes of him hunting down the Americans who are the ones who desecrated the sacred box.
They opened the wrong thing.
They opened the wrong plot device, and
Yeah.
they are the ones who will get taken out. So we can safely have Brendan Fraser,
Some
Evie
fodder for the middle of the movie.
Exactly. Evie and John Hannah, the hated
And the
comedy relief.
The kills are pretty good, actually. Like
they do a really
they're
good
kind
job with it.
They'd be scary if I was a kid.
Oh,
This movie terrified me.
Yeah. They do just the right amount of showing you stuff and having other stuff happen off screen.
Oh yeah.
Like you'll hear a guy like screaming while the mummy like looks at him and bugs scamper across his face, and then they find a body. And it happens like, or you see a shadow get like
the shadow stuff was super cool.
They have
That's my
tons of good
favorite
shadow stuff throughout the
Yeah.
entire movie. People getting murdered, and it really is able to hit you with the like, ooh, like
It sells it,
someone just died.
but it's not like crazy gory for no reason. Like it's you get what you need, and then you're on to the next thing.
You get the shudder
Yeah.
of the murder without being like revulsed by it.
Yeah.
So throughout all of that, the Americans are getting sucked dry by the mummy, who is slowly, as you said, Andrew, gaining his like flesh and human form back. And then the final half hour or so is he's kidnapped Evie so he can take her back to the city of the dead
Right.
and bring his girlfriend back to life. And at this point, it is all out action. The mummy's rising like walls of sand with his face coming out of them.
Oh, and the pilot. Another
dude.
amazing character.
Yeah.
Didn't even need him, but he's just so good. He
They
just
want-
wants to die
They
in
needed
combat.
they
old
needed
British
that
guy.
plane, the plane to work, and they're like, I can't write Brendan Fraser to also be
As
able
a
to fly a
pilot,
plane. Like it's too dumb. So they just write this guy to come in early in the movie, and his lines are literally like, "Ever since World War I ended, I've had no purpose to my life. I wish I could go down in flames." And then they find him later because like, we need a plane, and he goes down in flames. It's
And the
perfect.
plane sinks in quicksand
And-
and gets buried in the
Brendan
cockpit.
Fraser salutes him as he sinks into the
That's
sand.
what he wanted.
That was the sort of thing. So my
I'm
dad,
coming, laddies.
my dad travels the world, has been like all over, been to Egypt many times, loves Egypt.
Many times.
And when we've been to Egypt many times. And when we watched this movie, every time he would see the plane sinking into the dunes, and he'd be like, that is just dumb and impossible. The dunes aren't that deep. So now I see it and I want to speak it up, and I'm like, nah.
For a second, I was like,
I'm not my
is there
father.
quicksand in the desert? I don't know about
Not
that.
in the Egyptian desert, no.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a desert
I
thing.
don't think it's that sandy over there. I think it's like dusty, like hard packed,
sure.
but it's not like
Okay.
Saharan sand dunes.
They have such a good relationship between
The chemistry
Evie, you know.
between Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz is
so
good.
good that
So good.
when he's about to take her and they're gonna just shoot him, and Evie's like, no, let him take me, come save me. And then the Magi is like, I guess
live today, fight tomorrow.
exactly. And then you feel it, you're like,
I'm getting chills
you
right
know,
now.
you're like, oh, you gotta go save her. Like they're gonna make a plan and they're gonna go rescue her, you know. And the other ones, when this happens, when the mummy takes the love interest, you're like, whatever. Like
girl
I kind of
says,
want. You're like,
stop.
Yeah, you're kind of like,
and then they shoot the mummy.
Yeah, and then they're like, you're like, maybe you know what? I kind of want the mummy to just like have this one.
Yeah.
Give the mummy a dub.
Yeah, give the mummy a dub. He's been waiting 3,700 years. Let him get it in. Come on.
Oh God.
Let him hold the woman.
Okay, so he goes back to the original temple with her.
Mm-hmm.
They start doing the ritual.
The classic one we always talked about.
The classic.
Yeah, he's got to stab her through the heart to bring the other mummy woman back. Even though she's kind of brought back already, it's a little iffy. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That one they didn't explain in this. Maybe she would have materialized into like, you know, flesh.
She's not all
actual
right.
flesh,
You're
you know,
right.
that would have, and then he becomes invincible forever.
Yeah.
You got to read the graphic novel that comes
Which
along
again,
with the movie to
I don't understand
that
where
part.
he's getting these like intense powers from this curse.
Yeah, curse has major caveats.
Like, hey, on the
Yeah.
off chance you do rise, you will be the king of the world
never-
forever.
We will never
This
be
is
able to put
punishment,
you
I
down.
promise. This is punishment, I promise.
Would you? It's like buying a lottery ticket for $1 for like $80 million. Like, listen.
Someday, some white fuck will come in here,
Yeah.
disturb your grave.
3,700 years later, some white dude's gonna disturb this, and you get a chance,
And you'll
to
become
run
God.
the world.
It'll be
You're
really
like,
cool.
I'll take it. Okay.
Yeah, this movie has everything. It's like just the right amount of creepy horror, very like light Hollywood
Right amount of
horror,
comedy.
but tons of comedy,
A perfect
And full
PG-13
adventure.
film.
great romance, and yeah, the action is superb. At the end, I was getting a little breathless, but that's also because we watched 2 movies before this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Usually, I don't.
I mean,
mind.
I typically hate the third one in our series.
The
Yeah.
third one is
because
always the
I am
hardest
burnt,
one.
Yeah.
I am burnt out.
Yeah.
And this was surprisingly easy to watch.
Yeah, this movie has incredible pace. It flies by.
Yeah.
It was also the longest
It's
movie
over
we've
2
seen
hours,
yet.
right?
It's over 2
That's
hours. It
long.
went quicker than the one that was 72 minutes.
I mean, it's pretty much. Oh, hello. There's a cat literally on top of my recorder now. Hey, what's up, bud? The last hour is pretty much just straight action, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you want it, you know?
Oh,
It
yeah.
is
the
rising
setup,
action.
you don't even care how long the setup takes because it's all so good.
Yeah, the
So when
setup
you
is
get-
great too.
And then you get thrown into action, and you're like, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's paying off at this point. You have built some kind of relationship with the American guys, so like seeing them.
You're
like,
not sad when they die,
You're
but you
not
know who
sad.
they are.
I was sad
You
when,
feel the
when the
horror.
bourbon guy died, when he's like,
Yeah,
"Get
I
me a
like
bourbon.
that guy.
And a bourbon
And a
chaser.
shot of bourbon.
And a shot of bourbon.
And a bourbon chaser." He goes, yeah, I'll
Take
get
him
your
right
bourbon.
out. I remember as a kid really liking that guy, and I was like, "Oh no, he's not gonna die." My uncle was like, "He's gonna die."
He's gonna die.
I'm sorry, Henry. He's
I
not-
did think he was gonna survive.
You thought the,
Out
Amer-
of-
you
out
thought
of
the
all
American
of
was
them,
going to survive?
Just the one.
Mm.
I thought they were gonna let one survive.
Heavy attrition rate in this movie. Lots of kills.
Honestly,
Lots of kills.
Yeah, I mean the opening battle scene
Multiple.
after the ancient Egypt scene was
Yeah.
hundreds of people.
Yeah.
High budget.
Oh
The-
yeah,
the
we
mummy
didn't even
looks
talk about
awesome.
the CGI. All of the CGI, establishing shots.
All the at the very end when the mummy's fighting Brendan Fraser, he summons a whole bunch of other mummies that can die because
Right.
he
That can
can't
die.
because the mummy can't die yet and things need to die.
I did.
So we kill the other mummies. That's fun. I like that part.
It's very solid. It's also all like action comedy. Like he's
Yeah.
cutting off one's head, and then it's like headless, swinging around and doing stuff.
Yeah, that's all fun, And then Anaxa Moon, when she's attacking
She's
Rachel,
creepy.
she's terrifying.
yeah. She's doing the whole like thing, and
You can't see her eyes; it's all bandaged.
Yeah.
This guy's just cruising.
This
up here.
cat's so funny.
Cats are the guardians of the underworld, so
that's
this
why
is a
he's
safe
here.
podcast.
We're safe now. Thank you, Osiris. Well, cool. So what do you guys know about the last one?
They were planning, as I think I said before, to make a dark universe.
The dark universe,
And this was the
cinematic
kickoff
universe.
one. They actually, so before this movie, they made a Dracula Untold, which is like
Oh,
Dracula
you're
medieval.
right. I forgot about that.
And they wanted to retroactively tie it in to all of these.
Were
but
they trying to tie in I, Frankenstein as well?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that's separate.
Oh, okay.
they
Just
had
kind of came out
different-
at the same
Yeah.
bad time for movies.
Do I have my phone on me? Okay, so I do have a list of all the people they wanted to cast. Do we want to talk about that
Sure.
now or later?
I think we can talk about it now. I've seen the photo, like
Right, the
the
Photoshop
clearly
photo.
photoshopped photo with all the people that are supposed to be in the movies.
Oh no!
Indeed. Okay. Wait.
When did this come out? 2017?
2017.
They really thought they did something.
They really thought it was going to become a thing.
They were trying to do the Marvel move.
Is this one going to be essentially a remake?
No.
It's a reboot.
Yeah.
If that's what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a reboot, but
yeah.
Full reboot.
The Mummy's a woman this time.
Your mummy is a woman. Also, I was going to mention earlier, we're, always getting slightly closer. This time, the mummy is played by a South African man, so we're at least in the right continent. This next one, the woman.
farthest possible part of a continent.
Yeah. Other end of the continent, but still.
And Africa is
also, is he white South African?
Yeah.
That's still fucked. I mean,
the Egyptian,
okay.
There's a lot of pale.
Sure, Egyptian. but South Africans are like mostly colonizers.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
nothing to say.
He's like
there.
Dutch or some shit. I don't even know who's colonized South Africa. I should know that.
I think Dutch. You're right. Anyway, the new woman is Algerian. Also,
I mean that's
Africa.
closer.
Yeah, closer.
Yeah. That's the best we've done so far.
Yeah, no main Egyptian. Also, the guy, the Magi, the dude who says the line we like so much is Israeli, which I think actually crosses a line somewhere.
I feel like that, like the portrayal of his group was fucking racist. It was just like the brave Mujahideen, like that's the vibe they were going for.
4,000 years, these dudes.
Yeah, I did not really love what they were trying to do with that, but
yeah,
who knows what they were? I don't know what they were trying.
Nothing good.
I mean,
cool Egyptian action hero, not played by an Egyptian.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
With a curved sword and a head turban,
turban.
What are we doing?
Like, here, put this on and say this one line a lot.
So in the movie we're about to see, there's the mummy. They also have Dr. Jekyll, played by Russell Crowe.
Wait, he appears
in this film?
In the movie we're about to see, yes.
What? Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that at all.
Because they are making this a universe.
Oh, he's like the Nick Fury.
Oh no, they have someone else.
Lame.
Wait, they have someone else in here as the Nick Fury, but we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Invisible Man, Johnny Depp.
Wait, so that movie came
out.
Wait,
no.
We're about to watch.
This is before they made any of that.
Hold on. Is Johnny Depp going to be in this next film?
No.
Okay.
Right now we are talking purely of what they wanted to do before this all got canned.
Okay.
The Invisible Man is still a property, and yes, they have made movies before now, and they will keep making them.
It's another one of those like the IP's just available things.
Exactly. It will not be a cinematic universe.
It will come out.
They wanted to do a Bride of Frankenstein featuring Javier Bardem as Frankenstein's monster.
I like Javier.
Angelina Jolie as the bride.
I'd watch that movie.
She looks like the Bride of Frankenstein.
She does. Those cheekbones.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
They wanted none other than Dwayne Johnson to play the Wolfman.
Okay.
And I could get behind that.
And where is it?
Wasn't there
Van Helsing, Channing Tatum.
Okay.
Fresh off playing Gambit, Channing Tatum coming in hot.
And I feel like they wanted someone else to play the Nick Fury type, but I can't find where they wrote that.
Wasn't there a creature from the Black Lagoon movie planned in this part? Like
there
in this
is.
series?
They haven't in this article. They haven't named, but they would have brought the creature from the Black Lagoon back. They theoretically would have brought Dracula in. So again, like you were saying, they have made a Invisible Man with what's her name?
That was a Blumhouse movie, though, right?
It was.
Yeah,
we saw it. She
pours
Handmaid's
paint
Tale
on the guy.
Gotcha.
Handmaid's Tale actress. Come on,
I don't know her name.
I don't know. I haven't seen it
at all. It was pretty good.
Okay.
They're doing a Renfield movie. That's Dracula's like servant is Renfield.
I've never heard that before.
In the Dracula story,
okay,
he has a minion, Renfield.
Interesting.
In this movie,
backstory?
It'll be from his point of view, but they will have Dracula played by Nicolas Cage.
What?
This is a movie coming out.
All right,
all right.
And
now I'm
they are
excited.
also, and lastly,
I'm leaving. Gotta go crank upstairs right now.
Right now.
Or in that bathroom.
Sorry, we can edit this out later if it's too long. But
No,
they are
no,
also making theoretically, they are signed on to make a Wolfman movie with Ryan Gosling, directed by the guy who did Blue Valentine and Place Beyond the Pines.
I love Place Beyond the Pines.
Starring Ryan Gosling? Or?
That's gonna be magic.
I don't see it matching up, but I will be very interested to see what they do.
Yeah, they always make magic, so we'll see.
They always make magic. We'll see.
I don't know if they make magic. They don't make fun movies, which is pretty important.
But
to
I love
Wolfman.
it.
Okay. Well,
Anyway,
I'm very excited to see Tom Cruise. What is his character? What character is Tom Cruise?
He's the mummy.
He's not
he's
the mummy.
The Brendan Fraser person.
That's so lame.
They weren't going to make him the mummy.
Good.
Why?
He's too short, I think.
Yeah.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Too big. He probably produced this as he does for all of his big movies these days. So he's like, haha, I'm the hero.
Haha,
Okay.
you know who it is.
All right. One last thing before we go into this film. Do you guys remember when the trailer for this movie leaked and they hadn't done any sound design on it?
No.
No.
And it was just Tom Cruise like in a plane crash screaming with no music or sound design.
I do remember this.
It's one of my favorite moments from the internet.
And we're back.
That was fucked up.
Oh no.
I thought I was gonna feel okay for this entire podcast.
We were doing so good.
Maybe for once.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Worse than Cars 3?
Yeah.
Really?
No, you know what? No, I take it back.
I don't know.
Cars series was only 3 movies, and it did completely debilitate me.
Cars 2 is so good though.
But this is
Yeah, this one's hot ass. And I don't mean that positively. It's swamp ass.
No one's even hot in this movie.
Mummy was all right.
Yeah.
It was too dumb
sure,
to like get invested in anything, but
They do put her on like all fours, chained up.
What Henry just said is extremely true. This is one of the dumbest movies I've ever watched.
Yeah, just painfully could not get attached to anything going on.
They just never figured it out. Like,
what was
at any point in making this film.
What was the start of the movie where they just enter a war zone to locate an artifact?
Oh, we should.
No, I don't think we should.
Oh, we're gonna get in there because that stuff is amazing.
Yeah, the beginning is like just insane immediately.
It's just Tom Cruise and his new Benny, and I guess they're like.
They are U.S. Army. I looked it up. Well,
are they actually U.S. Army?
They're like
reconnaissance soldiers.
They're like
right?
Army Rangers or SEALs. Yeah. Also, in the same way that Army Rangers and SEALs act, they just steal things and kill people. Yeah, that's what they do.
But I guess instead of like their job is to go kill people, but they instead want to go get artifacts, in turn killing people during it.
Right. They want. But
they're not like
the loot and the death.
Yeah, I guess so. They are murdering so many people.
They call it an airstrike, like a village in
Yeah,
Afghanistan that they ran into.
People.
So this starts very like Uncharted, like the video game series Uncharted kind of meets Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise and his buddy Jake Johnson, his comic relief, are U.S. Army guys who are trying to act like cocky treasure hunters, but it literally has them go into an Iraqi village, just blasting people apart, call in an airstrike.
Hold on, wait. They said the villagers evacuated before the event happened. So
these are all fanatical insurgents.
They're insurgents.
All of them.
I think like the first word of the movie was, there's a whole bunch of insurgents down there.
Why would they think 2 of them going into like hundreds of them is a good idea?
Because they thought this was like a cocky, like Uncharted treasure hunting thing, but it also carries this weird real world shit. Anyway, what's amazing is that this airstrike not only murders dozens of people, but it creates this sinkhole that they then follow down into the earth to find this hidden mummy's tomb.
Right.
And it only gets better from there. The mummy herself is in a lake of mercury because that nullifies her powers.
I guess. I don't think that's a naturally occurring thing on the planet.
They also find this when mercury's just dripping onto Tom Cruise.
And Tom Cruise holds it. He goes, oh, that's mercury for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hanging out with
definitely.
They evacuated my high school one time when a mercury thermometer broke. Like full evacuation. We didn't go back until the next week.
Well, if Tom Cruise was there, class would be running.
You're right. You're correct.
So backtracking a bit, the movie starts with another flashback or just ancient Egypt. Starts in ancient Egypt, gives the background of the mummy. I actually enjoyed this scene. I thought, this isn't great, but this could lead to a fun, decent movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the intro of the last one, right?
Yeah.
Where they're just kind of talking about like
she was a solid villain in that one scene.
For sure.
She's the princess of the pharaoh, and she's this like warrior princess, and she is set to inherit whatever, all of ancient Egypt, but her pharaoh father has remarried and then bears a son, and she realizes she is going to be skipped over in the line of succession. So she sells her soul to the Egyptian devil, which is not a thing, just so we're all clear.
True.
Egyptian devil.
They say it's Set, the god of death, but that's not the god of death in
Set
Egyptian
is not the
mythology.
God of death. He is evil, but he's not the god of death.
Yeah. It seems like a pretty major oversight.
They do that in all of these films.
Yeah. So she sells her soul to a very cool looking monster in the background.
I wish there was
A
just
monster that
that
looked cool.
Yeah.
all the time.
It was like,
Shadow zombie.
Yeah, it looked like not anything from a Guillermo del Toro movie, but it looked like that actor, Doug Jones, who plays like the fawn.
Hand guy?
Yeah, or the hand guy. It looked like that guy in a
Pan.
bodysuit doing stuff, and you're like, ooh, this is creepy. And so she goes super demonic, murders her father, the stepmother, and the baby. You're like, wow, this is an evil woman. And then she finds some random dude, basically, and has to plunge this magical dagger, this plot device dagger into him to seal the deal, basically.
To bring Set into the world in human
Right.
form.
And then she is stopped and mummified alive, like all the other movies.
Right.
They do this very quickly. No, they don't take any fun in it at all, as all the other movies did. Cut to the present day.
Right.
Tom Cruise unearths her for no reason. A whole bunch of camel spiders come out. Nah, we can skip over that part. But anyway.
Was that supposed to be connected to the whole universe they're trying to create?
Well, the camel spiders bit the buddy.
Jake Johnson.
Yeah,
but
turned bad.
I don't even want to get into that.
Yeah,
We
it was really
have to.
dumb. Jake Johnson gets bit by a camel spider and tries to release the mummy on the plane, and the plane crashes.
The movie, this mummy has kind of powers clearly based on the one we just saw with Brendan Fraser.
With like sand powers,
and
animals crows, and
plague powers, but this time it's way more like direct vampire zombie style.
Yeah.
So she sucks people dry like the last movie, but this time she has to make out with them to do it because she's a woman, obviously. So it's got to be
That's the only way
very
work,
physical.
yeah.
Well, and Tom Cruise was like, "Listen, if I'm fronting 20 mil, gotta at least make out with 2 women, right?"
You're right. Yeah, for
So
sure.
she makes out with these people and instantly turns them into zombies, and then she also has power over insects that can then possess people.
Yeah.
Very random and unexplained. Can control crows as well, just flocks of them.
The zombies are so much lamer than like the priest mummies from the last movie.
Yeah, those had character.
Did you like the underwater zombies?
No, I didn't. I didn't like the Crusader underwater
Underwater
zombies.
Crusader
Was not
zombies.
a fan of that.
We're not going to describe what we're talking about. That's just all it's going to be.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Unfortunately, it was bad, and we're saving you.
Yeah.
You don't need to know.
So, gist of the movie from that part is that they realize that by unearthing her, Tom Cruise has become the mummy's chosen one. She wants to stab him with the magical dagger now,
Right.
so that he can embody Set on Earth and be her homeboy for all time. So she is just gunning for Tom.
Tom, I'd like you to be my homeboy for all time.
For all time.
She goes, "I'm burning for you, Thomas."
And right, so his comic buddy were like, "Oh," I literally turned to Cole and was like, "Oh no, we're gonna these comic relief people you don't like are coming back." That guy dies early in the movie and then starts coming back as a ghost.
That shit was so
Unfortunately, he
dumb.
returns.
Totally ripped out of American Werewolf in London, which has the same gimmick of a dead friend who only the main character can see, who's telling him, "You're fucked, buddy." And kind of moves the plot forward. And then they go to London, where they meet Russell Crowe, who is playing Dr. Jekyll, who is like the leader of this sort of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Hellboy group where they hunt down monsters.
Yeah.
And then the movie stalls for a long time. Lots of needless scenes. There's a whole fight with Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
Worthless.
Yeah. They
Worthless.
try to do like a relationship thing between Tom and the main actress.
We haven't even brought her up yet.
But it's just so dead.
There's
like
no
there's
chemistry.
zero
So
chemistry. The dialogue is so shitty.
So bad.
Because like,
Super
there's
bad.
my favorite scene dialogue wise is when she says, "Gave me the last parachute without even thinking," and Tom says, "I thought there was another one."
And then it ends.
And then it
there.
ends the scene.
And I said, I looked at Cole and I said, "Was that supposed to be a joke?"
I wasn't sure. I
He
didn't
goes,
know how.
"I'm not sure." He says, "How'd that make you feel?" I said, "Nothing." Just nothing.
So So fast forward 30,
Yeah, where do we even
40
pick
minutes.
it up? Yeah.
Somehow the mummy obviously gets free of this facility where she's being held.
It's one of those. This is another pet peeve of mine. When you have the villain in captivity and you know what's going to happen, it's like not
Avengers 1.
There's no
Fast
tension
and Furious, Dark Knight. It's that moment of
And
the bad guys in captivity to break out.
Yeah, and it's not even like the fault of a specific movie. It's like we know, like filmmakers, be better. Like come up with a different plot device than you have the bad guy in captivity for half of your movie and then they escape at the end.
They're under the British Museum, so as soon as she gets free, she breaks all the glass in the British Museum.
That was cool.
No, it wasn't.
Aesthetically,
it looks terrible.
I just want all action.
That's like the easiest effect ever. It's just a particle cloud.
It's all good.
It was. They didn't even like interact with the people.
I'm gonna argue that's my favorite part.
The people just ran away in front of it.
They should have been vaporized.
Yeah,
they should have been
or cut to ribbons by the glass.
No, they ran fast enough.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
But we're talking about like a solid 2 minutes of all the glass in the British Museum.
Yeah, but they're running fast. It's Tom Cruise.
This is Tom Cruise.
For sure.
He's arm pumping. Yeah, he made it. So fucking dumb. This entire movie, just like moment to moment. There's never a relief. There's never a moment of like, oh, that was a decent scene, or that was a cool moment, or that was a cool action beat. It doesn't ever happen.
No, and it's hard to make fun of.
You don't relate to anyone in the beginning of the movie or ever. Like nothing to root for, nothing to tie yourself down to. So they're going through all the classic action movie beats and it's just loud and just like blasting into your ears, but not even kinetic.
Tom Cruise is like the opposite of Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
Just
he
like
was really miscast in this movie.
Completely. Yeah. Like there's no, I think Tom Cruise is not charismatic anymore. Like maybe in the past he was, but at this point, like who thinks Tom Cruise is charismatic at this point?
Tom Cruise.
You're right. I mean, Hollywood execs think Tom Cruise is charismatic, but like I don't want to see this weird like freaky Scientologist in his 50s with all the plastic surgery in the world, like kissing young women. Like I just don't even like that. I don't want it. I don't need it.
I just want to mention the final like 5 or so minutes of the movie just because I just thought it was incredible. Relating to Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
He eventually, the mummy wants to stab him with the dagger to make him her evil boyfriend.
Right.
His girlfriend, who we have not mentioned and we will not mention,
we can
has died. And you don't feel anything.
She drowned.
No.
She drowns, doesn't matter.
When she drowned, I asked Andrew what her name was.
I wasn't sure. Henry remembered that.
And Henry remembered that.
Only because earlier she said, this is Dr. here, and you're like, did she just say Dr. Jekyll? So I had to look it up. And it was Jenny, and that was how it stuck with me.
Yeah, Jenny. What a memorable character.
Jenny and Dr. Jekyll.
That's good stuff.
So the mummy is throwing Tom Cruise, like skipping him like a stone across like sarcophagi. Like he's broken. He should be.
Oh, at one point she uppercut his chest cavity.
Yeah.
The shot was about 20 feet high. He went off screen in the air and landed on a stone floor.
On his neck.
On his neck. He also hits multiple stairs with his neck. Stone stairs. Like gets thrown down by like John Cena style moves.
Yeah.
This is all after he's fought Dr. Jekyll and like another scene that we will skip over because it doesn't fucking matter. Dr. Jekyll turns into Mr. Hyde for a second and fights Tom Cruise. But Dr. Jekyll like reaches under his rib cage.
Like grabs
which is like,
whoa.
Way more graphic than anything else in the movie.
Yeah. That made me very uncomfortable.
What is that?
I was like, are you going to rip that out or not?
That's
you
insane.
Just gotta hold your hand
like
under
a Mortal Kombat move.
Yeah, it was intense. So anyway, Tom Cruise turns the tides of the battle by stabbing himself with the special plot device knife. With the gem. The dagger has a special glowing red gem in it.
Yeah, because we can't have one MacGuffin. We have to have two that you combine into a big MacGuffin.
Like you put it together and then it's good to go.
It's ready for the climax.
Yeah,
for sure.
So then, the mummy woman, in order for you to know that she's possessed by a demon, she has 2 pupils in each eye.
2 eyes
per eyes. Like Tom Cruise stabs himself, then he gets 2 pupils per eye.
But he's in control somehow.
At first he's like, nah, I'm evil. And then he's like looking at the mummy and they're about to make out. And then he like looks at his dead blonde girlfriend. He's like,
they're not girlfriend and boyfriend.
I want the blonde.
They barely know each other.
I want the blonde. And so then what does he do? he like slams this mummy woman down on a table, and suddenly this isn't so much fun anymore. Watching Tom Cruise abuse this woman like shorter than he is. And how does he kill her? He makes out with her. It was
pretty aggressive,
incredibly on point as far as like this is the true Tom Cruise.
We're 1 for 4 on these movies with people not making out with unwilling parties.
Oh man, yeah. Only B. Fraser.
Yeah, shout out B. Fraser.
Shout out B. Fraser.
The real
If you're
hero.
listening, my guy.
We love you.
Yeah,
You're
we
the
love
best.
you so much.
You're so cool.
Come on down to my house.
Yeah,
dude.
come
I'll
on
share
the
a
pod.
Snickerdoodle ice cream sandwich with you
I'll buy you some quesadillas. Come on down.
Come on, that's a good deal.
And the last bit, now that Tom Cruise has the power of a god within him, he goes up to his dead blonde BFF, not even, and he's trying to like wake her up from the afterlife, basically. And how does he do it? He breaks out the Tom Cruise screen. He just says, "Wake up!" And then she does.
Yeah, and his
She
teeth get
spits
all
up
more
water.
busy.
Oh yeah, his teeth gets all sharp for a second, like you've seen in every shitty vampire movie.
Spits up water in her lungs that she'd had in there for 95 minutes at this point.
Yeah, she had drowned probably 10 minutes before that in movie time.
In movie time, let alone whatever time they're in.
Oh,
So now Tom Cruise is the monster, but the monster we deserve,
it's
or whatever.
it's like a kickoff movie for their universe that never happened.
He rides into the sunset, and
Yeah.
thankfully the sun never rose again on this godforsaken franchise.
Yeah, thank God. Jesus Christ, this sucks.
Yeah, I remember one quote from multiple movie mummies. They keep saying a fate worse than death. And I think this movie was a fate worse than death.
Yeah, the
You
last
think
movie
so?
they say death is only the beginning, and this is what comes next.
I said, just kill me.
It's
Just
so funny.
end it.
I mean, there's not much redeeming in this one. I would full avoid the fourth mummy.
Yeah, I can tell it to people. Like I was talking to my sister about it today, and she was like, "Wait, there's another mummy movie with Tom Cruise and Russell Crowe."
It sounds good. Like
Yeah,
you're like,
it sounds
I
like-
will watch it.
It has to be passably bad, and it is
Sure.
not.
Are they ever in Egypt?
No,
Besides the intro?
No, we have to
And at
we have
the
to
very
go to
end.
where we invaded because we're the British in this movie.
Gotcha. There is a shot of sand.
Yeah, that's in Iraq because we
Okay.
invaded there.
So, all right.
Yeah.
They had one throwback when they were in the library.
Yeah, they're in
There's
the
a fight.
headquarters of monster hunting.
I think in Dr. Jekyll's place, right?
Yeah,
And they grab out the golden book,
the Book of Amun-Ra
yes.
Amun-Ra.
from the last movie,
Yep.
and it just made me sad.
It did make me sad
Yeah.
as well.
You also see the Dracula skull and a like creature from the Black Lagoon arm in that scene. Kind of they're trying to
just-
set up
they're
sequels
just
that
there.
will never exist.
Hanging out.
Very good.
God be blessed.
Praise Jesus.
That's who they should have brought into the
Jesus.
Dark Universe. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. I would have enjoyed that.
Well, any closing thoughts, boys?
I will say I enjoyed the first one a lot.
I like the first one a lot.
Of course,
It's
Brendan
either-
Fraser's
yeah.
movie. I don't think I'm gonna watch the Hammer one again.
I don't think I would either. It's just kind of just too slow.
I'd watch some highlights of the action scenes.
Yeah, just rewatch the Mummy's entrances.
The
Yeah, or
window
just
opening
scenes of
montage.
the Mummy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool to watch. And the fourth one was absolute dog shit.
It's so bad.
Yeah, probably worse than The Mummy Returns, the sequel to the Brendan one, which has a kid. We were saying earlier, like, this
Oh,
movie
really?
could only be worse with a kid. And I was like, that one's got it.
I have watched that a long time ago. I don't remember anything.
I just know the CGI shot with The Rock.
The Rock
That's
as
the
the
thing.
Scorpion
Yeah.
King.
Oh, yeah.
Like famous for being one of the worst CGI shots ever.
It's so bad.
It is pretty bad.
But then that also gave us the Scorpion King movie, which is very fun B-movie action.
Oh.
Super solid.
I don't think I've watched that. I should.
Oh, we have right now. No.
I don't feel so good.
Same director though as the Brendan Fraser Mummy.
Okay.
So like
I
just
see.
solid B movie.
Shout out.
But yeah, the Mummy as a entity in
I feel
our
like-
pop culture.
Yeah. I feel like Tom Cruise kissed me on the lips and sucked my soul out. Can't handle the shit.
Yeah, I feel
Life.
fouled.
Thanks, Tom Cruise.
Thank you, Tom. Well, thank you, boys. This has been really fun to get the show going again.
Yeah, it's been good.
Hell yeah. Well, I don't know when we're going to do another one. I'm not going to say anything because I'll probably be lying.
I like that. I like that much better.
Weasel liar.
Weasley little liar, dude. Shout out.
Shout out. All right, good night.